So we are our cultural practices, and so how do our cultural practices impact our other social problems? Because that's an outline of many different, very normal practices in this culture, and they impact our development as mature human beings, and then it's mature human beings who are making up our society and making up our culture. So how does all of this, I guess, translate to our other social problems that we're struggling with?
So here's a study that helps to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
In research comparing Finnish and American infants, this is very interesting. The Finnish infants scored significantly higher than American infants on measures of smiling and laughter. American infants scored significantly higher on fear, which is connected to adverse early experience. When one is fearful, one wants power and control rather than cooperation and collaboration.
Yeah.
It is also understood that when one has low empathy, a lack of ability to be sensitive to what others feel, one is more likely to care about self-interest and common interest. Wanting power and control and caring about self-interest can influence political views and behaviors. In addition, low empathy, an effect of disrupted bonding, is also associated with racism. Since the quality of the mother-infant bond affects self-esteem, research shows that those with low self-esteem are more likely to be prejudiced against others. So there we have this direct connections here between our cultural practices and some serious problems, as I say, political behavior and racism.
Yeah, and what's coming to mind for me is how trauma perpetuates trauma. So for those of us who are people of color, the trauma of racism impairs our development, and impairs the health and well-being of our parents, and impairs our health and well-being. And then for the people who perpetuate racism, all of that is rooted in a lack of love, in that disrupted infant bond. And then it's just passed down and perpetuated throughout society. It's horrific. And it all starts at the same thing, which is the love. What I'm hearing from you is the natural human love and biological need for connection and affection from in utero onwards.
Sure. Yeah. I want to say a little more on the how we're perpetuating this disrupted bonding.
Yeah, please do.
Researcher Mary Main found that attachment quality of adults corresponds to the attachment quality of their children 76% of the time. Another study found a correspondence of 85%. Parents often had disrupted bonding when they were young. The repeating cycle includes alienation caused by disrupted bonding, conformity, which provides the illusion of relief from alienation, acceptance and use of existing cultural practices, and disrupted bonding of the next generation. So that's the cycle as it goes around generation after generation.
And so that makes sense. So when my ability to bond with my parent is disrupted, then I don't form the understanding or the ability to then form healthy attachments later on in life if those aren't repaired, right? And because we live in a very trauma uninformed culture, most people are walking around with trauma that they're not aware of, right? So I'm not able to then bond with my child and then them bond with their child. So it's again, unless we can heal and repair that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
And so what about our cultural beliefs and values? How does that contribute? Because it just seems like the way we are as a culture perpetuates this issue.
So I have a few examples about this, and it's important. American child care practices are based on supposed rational factors. Yeah. Because Americans, particularly men, tend to value the intellect over the emotions. This preference is consistent with our general difficulty in being aware of and expressing feelings. One of the consequences of this condition is when we don't feel, our thinking is affected. Suppressed feelings limit our experience and can lead to false beliefs. An observer of medical professionals wrote, quote, "They mistake having no feelings for being smart," about medical professionals now. If we could feel, our empathy for infants would support changing our cultural practices. Some parents also believe that denying satisfaction of children's needs teaches them independence, makes children less needy, or avoids spoiling them. There's no evidence to support these beliefs. As previously stated, when we do not feel, our thinking is affected. To be clear, needs are distinguished from wants. Needs are universal, and when needs are consistently not satisfied, the result can be developmental problems. Another belief is implied from some adult attitudes and behavior: children are the property of their parents. This belief may involve maltreatment and deny children respect, ignore their humanity and autonomy, and diminish their need satisfaction and bonding. So we got, some beliefs out there that just don't help at all and actually hinder our care for children.
And expanding upon that intellectual bypassing, it's my understanding that that's actually a coping mechanism for a certain type of developmental trauma. So when that mother-infant bond is interrupted in early childhood, then there's a trauma in our ability to connect. And so because of the pain of that, because connection is core to us as humans, because of the pain of that, some people disassociate and live in the intellect or live in the spiritual realm. So that prioritizing the intellect is actually symptomatic of connection-based trauma. Yeah.
Okay. And again, the being in the intellect or using the intellect contributes to the problems here.
So it's this cycle that continues to, and there are cultural values that support and prioritize intellectual bypassing as opposed to the feeling which is in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.